Good Tuesday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top news stories, let's take a quick look outside our weather window. And boy, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, sunshine and temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Today, as we look up at the upper valley, I believe around the Leavenworth area, right? Some clouds up that way and some shower activity. We did see that at times throughout the afternoon. That will continue into our evening hours as well. But boy, doesn't it make things look beautifully green. It is beautiful up that way and beautiful all over. And we're going to see a very active weather pattern today, really just the start of that, showery and cool weather. We might even see a thunderstorm or two pop up, and that'll happen not only maybe tonight, but also in the afternoon tomorrow, as well as Thursday. And watch out for rises on some small streams. We'll talk more about that and an even bigger storm moving our way by the time the weekend ends. More on that too coming up a little bit later on. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. A stolen vehicle suspect barricaded himself in an outbuilding outside Oroville for close to 2.5 hours Sunday before surrendering without incident. Police say a Wenatchee man admitted to drawing a semi-automatic handgun and actually working the slide to intimidate a neighbor. A Wenatchee police officer failed to inform a suspect he was under arrest before questioning him, and so the state Supreme Court of Appeals threw out his conviction for a drug possession. And a rural Douglas County man is charged with assault for allegedly firing a rifle toward a family hunting for turkey near the Bridgeport Bar recreation area. But first, we begin tonight. Governor Jay Inslee unveiled a statewide plan for contact tracing of COVID-19 cases today that will utilize the National Guard, State Department of Licensing, and state and local healthcare professionals. Those officials will identify people who have had contact with someone who has tested positive for the coronavirus, with both the infected person and the people on their contact list facing mandatory quarantine. Under Inslee's plan, anyone who tests positive for the coronavirus will be quarantined for 14 days, as will everyone in their household. And anyone who's had contact with that person will be quarantined until they've tested negative, even if they've not tested positive or shown any symptoms. Inslee said the ability to aggressively test and trace COVID-19 cases is the next step in reopening much of the state. A stolen vehicle suspect barricaded himself in an outbuilding outside of Oroville for close to 2.5 hours on Sunday before surrendering without incident. County Sheriff's deputies had earlier been told that 41-year-old John Devon of Oroville was armed with a shotgun and had a list of 4 people, quote, he wanted to get rid of, unquote. Devon served 11 years in prison after being convicted of killing his 2-year-old stepson back in 2006. The stolen vehicle was found at 99 Sawtells Road just before 6 p.m., and the resident of that property told deputies Devon was in an outbuilding. The building was surrounded, and the North Central Washington Special Response Team and Sheriff's Office negotiators were called in. At about 8:20 p.m., Devon surrendered and no shotgun was found. He faces numerous charges, including taking a motor vehicle without permission, first-degree assault, domestic violence, and obstructing law enforcement. He was released from prison in 2017 after an appeals court found an issue with jury selection and then sent his case back to Okanogan County Superior Court for retrial. Well, instead of a new trial, he was recharged with second-degree manslaughter and then was sentenced to the time he'd already served. Police say a Wenatchee man admitted to drawing a semi-automatic handgun and working the slide to intimidate a neighbor. 21-year-old Jonathan D. Marvin was arrested late Friday at his apartment on Central Avenue. The neighbor accused Marvin of pointing the weapon at his chest at about 10:45 p.m. and saying, "Next time, I'm going to shoot you." When questioned by police, Marvin allegedly denied aiming the gun or making the threat, but he did admit to brandishing the 9mm pistol and working the slide. Police said the two men had prior conflicts over noise and other complaints. Court records show they removed 2 shotguns, 4 rifles, 2 handguns from Marvin's residence. He remained in jail as of this morning on $25,000 bail. Meanwhile, a Wenatchee police officer failed to inform a suspect he was under arrest before questioning him, and so the State Court of Appeals threw out his conviction for drug possession. The higher court says Officer Albert Gonzalez handcuffed suspect Kenneth Stevens during a 2017 shoplifting investigation, read him his Miranda rights, and then questioned him. When Stevens admitted to the crime, Gonzalez announced he was arresting him. In a ruling today, the higher court said that's not the typical order of how investigations and arrests happen. A jury acquitted Stevens of stolen property charges, but convicted him for a small amount of methamphetamine Gonzalez found during that arrest. The appellate court decision reverses the conviction and dismisses that charge. Also, a rural Douglas County man is charged with assault for allegedly firing a rifle toward a family hunting for turkey near Bridgeport Bar Recreation Area. Sheriff's deputies say on May 5th, 67-year-old Lyle Ostheller fired multiple rounds from his porch toward a father, daughter, and grandfather who were hunting on public lands near his residence. The hunters said bullets from Ostheller's property began to strike rocks and trees around them after they shot a turkey in the area. Deputies said as many as 15 to 20 shots may have been fired. They arrested Ostheller at his home Thursday. Douglas County prosecutors filed 2 counts of second-degree assault against him on Monday. Well, coming up next, Republican candidate for governor Joshua Freed is one of several people suing Governor Jay Inslee over his stay home, stay healthy orders. Founders Day in Kashmir has become the latest summer festival in north central Washington to be canceled over COVID-19 concerns. And beginning May 18th, face coverings will become mandatory in most public places in Seattle and all of King County. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Boating in the Wenatchee Valley starts at Bob File Boats and Motors. Now you can fish like a pro without breaking the bank thanks to the ProMag aluminum fishing boat by Smokercraft. It features a great layout with a spacious bow casting platform, huge live wells, and in-floor storage to safely stow your gear. See the Smokercraft line of boats at Bob File Boats and Motors on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee or online at bobfile.com.
Bob File Boats and Motors, we're dealing. Bob File's gonna make you smile.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Traditional values and innovation in honoring the life of each family we serve is part of the ministry of Heritage Memorial Chapel. Our staff is committed to walk with your family with compassion through this time of grief. We are here to help and here to serve, the right kind of help when you need it most. Heritage Memorial Chapel.
Welcome back. In another news, Republican candidate for governor Joshua Freed is one of several people suing Governor Jay Inslee over his stay home, stay healthy orders. Freed's lawsuit is focused on Inslee's ban on religious gatherings, but during a visit to Wenatchee on Monday, the former Bothell mayor said it's vital that the state move more rapidly toward opening up all businesses in Washington.
Thankfully, the further we get into this crisis, we're truly understanding more about it. When we first entered about 8 weeks ago, it was new, and everyone was learning and trying to find the science and the data to understand what the COVID is all about. And we even heard just last week from Governor Cuomo in New York that the death rate is around 0.1%. And so it's not as deadly as we originally thought, which is good. And you know, no loss of life is something that we want. We want to make sure that we're protecting human life. And so we miss those who have left. But at the same time, we understand that here in Washington State, we have 7.5 million people. And my heart breaks for the 850 people that have died so far. But we also have another 7.5 million people that are truly suffering today, meaning they can't work or they're not all fully considered essential. And so the more people we can get back to work, the more that we can move forward with our economy. Listen, Seattle has the highest increase in the unemployment rate in the nation. So truly, this stay-at-home order under the governor is impacting us greater than anywhere else in the nation. Because right now, science is showing that cases have dropped off every day for the last 30 days. And from federal regulations, we're seeing that if it's decreased for 14 days, we should be allowed to open up. So right now we have 11 states in the nation that are under full lockdown. Other 39 states are under now opening for business, ultimately are fully open for business. We need to be moving more quickly in that direction, or the damage from the treatment is going to be worse than the COVID itself.
Founders Days in Kashmir has become the latest summer festival in north central Washington to be canceled over COVID-19 concerns. The festival had been scheduled for June 26th and 27th, but the Kashmir Chamber of Commerce said with the extension of Governor Jay Inslee's ban on large gatherings, it was not going to happen. Also today, the North Central Washington Fair announced it's canceling its 3rd of July Bull Bash in Waterville. Well, beginning May 18th, face coverings will become mandatory in most public places in Seattle and all of King County. Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin and County Executive Dow Constantine issued the state's first face coverings directive Monday, but said they will rely on voluntary compliance and won't be issuing tickets or making arrests. The directives cover supermarkets, farmers markets, pharmacies, convenience stores, and most other retail outlets and carry-out restaurants. In addition, masks must be worn in taxis, rideshare vehicles, and public transportation. Face coverings earlier were made mandatory at SeaTac Airport. Mayor Durkin said face coverings are part of the new normal during the COVID-19 pandemic. Deaf people and children under age 2 are exempted from the mask requirement. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Stay with us.
The two hottest pickups in America are at Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. First, the Ram 1500 with back-to-back Truck of the Year awards from Motor Trend, and now the Car and Driver 10 Best list for 2020. They call it a luxury sedan with pickup capabilities. Ram is on a roll now with third-generation eco-diesel power. Next up, the Jeep Gladiator, also a 2020 10 Best model based on the new award-winning Jeep Wrangler. It has options and capabilities that no other truck can offer. Two more reasons when it comes to buying a truck: there's no reason to leave town.
Aging and Adult Care offers many in-home care options and services for seniors and family caregivers. But did you know they also offer free in-home delivered meals? Aging and Adult Care has expanded its program for home-delivered meals to help elderly and vulnerable adults at this challenging time. If you are in need of prepared meals or know someone who could benefit, call Aging and Adult Care for more information about free home-delivered meals. Call 509-886-0700.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. In tonight's features story, the Wenatchee Valley and Garlini's Restaurant came together yesterday in an event that turned into something very special just when the community needed it.
Mission to feed 1,000 people. We ended up feeding over 1,300. No one got turned away. We had an amazing community event. We still have some cash to count. Very generous donations from our community, but I really think that we hit our goal of raising over $10,000 for Serve Wenatchee.
Cars started lining up at 3:15, so we knew this was going to be big. We know not only is the Valley hungry to eat, but they're hungry to give, even in times that it's hard. Right now, we've watching about every car has given some sort of money, whether it's a couple dollars or 20 or whatever. So far, we're probably up to $3,000 to $5,000 at least. Our goal is to hit $10,000.
I am Tom Neese. I serve as the Executive Director at Serve Wenatchee Valley. Serve Wenatchee Valley is an organization that is really narrowly focused on helping families in our community stay in their homes. We're meeting during this COVID-19 outbreak some very basic needs of food. We're also able to provide some rent assistance and utility assistance.
Again, I think when you look at what's going on in this parking lot and in and around trying to get in this parking lot, it really sends a message of not only the generosity of our community, but also the vulnerability of our community.
100% of the donations that are received tonight are going directly into the needs and the families and the homes that we serve here in the community. We don't do this alone. We do this because this generous community rallies around and simply answers the question, what are we going to do today, with a very simple answer: anything we can.
We know that we've got some difficult times coming in our community as we restart our economy and what that looks like. But one thing that we really feel strongly about is that if we work together and we come together, that we come out of this thing together.
Time now for a check of your North Central Washington weather forecast. And before we get into the details, and folks, there are a lot of details to get to. Let's take a look outside our weather window, and it's a wet one now as we look up in the upper valley. And what a beautiful shot up that way. And rain showers this afternoon. That's right, they began about mid-afternoon, continued right through the day. We're going to see that continue into our evening hours as well, and more shower activity around the area as well. And that's going to be our picture pretty much for the next couple of days. We talked about that at the top of the newscast, so get ready for some cloudy, kind of wet and cooler weather. We'll get to all those details coming up, but first today, high temperature unofficially 66 degrees, so that's just a little bit below where we should be for this time of year. 70 is normal. 52 is the low temperature this morning, so we started off on the mild side. 47 is where we should be. How about that record high? 98 degrees set back in 1993. I'm telling you folks, if you remember 1993, you know it was a hot one. We have more than a couple of records set that year. 32, our record low, that was in 1985. We're still at 1.88 inches of precip, and that goes back to January 1st. Sunrise this morning, 5:27, and the sun will set for you tonight at 5:28. Let's take a look at how your hump day Wednesday is going to shape up. And once again, it could be a little bit wet. Temperatures will be a little bit better tomorrow. I think we may see a peak or two with the sun, but at 71 for Moses Lake, 71 in Ephrata as well, 69 Wenatchee, 69 in Kashmir, and lots of 69s up the Highway 97 corridor. But as I mentioned, it could be wet, maybe even a thunderstorm. Let's show you now what we're looking at for tonight as we look at our surface loop. Still could be a wet one out there. We've been seeing it off and on throughout the day and early evening. Mostly cloudy, a 50% chance for showers, maybe even a thunderstorm as more moisture continues to wrap up and then move right up to the northeast through Washington State. By Wednesday, mostly cloudy, just scattered showers for Wednesday, maybe an isolated thunderstorm, but it will be a little bit warmer. You can see just a little bit of a high pressure ridge right here trying to build in, and that'll make for a decent Wednesday, but then we retrograde. Once again, mostly cloudy Thursday, 40% chance of showers. Most of Washington State will see that. Cooler temperatures as well as we get into Thursday, and it's going to be a roller coaster ride into our weekend because we warm right back up on Friday with mostly sunny skies. Once again, here's that high pressure ridge squeezed between an area high pressure here and this large low pressure system, and that will be our weather maker then as we get into the upcoming weekend. Mostly cloudy on Saturday. Luckily, it will be mild with temperatures in the mid-70s, but we will see about a 50% chance for mainly evening showers on this tail end of this frontal boundary in that area of low pressure. But by the time we get into Sunday, that's going to slide right into the Pacific Northwest, and we are all going to see could be moderate to heavy amounts of rain on Sunday. We could pick up even a half inch to an inch of rain Sunday. It's going to be one of those wet ones with maybe even some thunderstorms. Monday, thunderstorms not out of the question either. We'll see a 40% chance of showers as all of this area of storminess keeps moving east. Thunderstorms in the northeast part of the state and right here in central Washington. So we will be keeping our eye on the sky as we get into Sunday and into Monday afternoon. Let's take a look now at your Patriot Plumbing, Heating and Cooling 7-day forecast. 47 for us, overnight low tonight. 69, a 20% chance of rain on Wednesday. That goes up to a 40% chance of the wet stuff on Thursday and a little cooler. But then we jump right back up into the lower 70s on Friday with mostly sunny skies, and then a very wet weekend will be upon us. Nice for most of the day Saturday, 50% chance of rain Saturday night, and that goes up to an 80% chance of rain on Sunday. 69 your high on Monday, with once again a 40% chance for rain. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Nissan is the value leader in new cars and SUVs. Check out these new models starting at under $20,000. The all-new Versa from $17,020. The all-new Sentra from $17,400. And the all-new Kicks from $17,995. Now you can have the Nissan style, performance, and reliability, all for under $20,000.
And they're all here at Town Nissan, up behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
With PUD rebates, we'll give you money to upgrade your house and reduce your energy footprint.
The rebates are real. Visit conservationmakessense.org to learn more.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy Tuesday to you, staying home and staying healthy. Eric Granstrom on the NCWLIFE channel. Got my reading specs on today because I got a lot to cover. First of all, the West Coast League announced last week that it was postponing the start of its season by a month. In light of the pandemic-related circumstances, several teams may join Bellingham in canceling their seasons. That could leave about 7 teams in Washington State to try to figure out some sort of baseball this summer. WCL Commissioner Rob Nyer joined me on a Zoom video conference end of last week. He said the season as we knew it, with North and South and 50-plus games, is not going to happen. Instead, there could be an open tournament format with groups of players traveling to cities, dividing up into teams and playing several games in a 3-day stretch.
You know, you call it a baseball festival or a jamboree, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely. And assuming that the major league teams allowed their scouts to travel, that would be fantastically popular. The question then becomes, how do you afford to do that, right? You still need to staff the games. You got to pay the umpires. You got to have some staff on hand to make sure all the various safety measures are being observed. So these are just some of the hurdles that we face, but absolutely, we've got teams that are considering things just like that. Anything to create good baseball games. Maybe you can live stream it. Give the fans something to watch. I mean, we would all love to bring baseball to our fans, bring baseball to the players, especially in the Northwest, who wouldn't have to travel very far. The question is, can you do that in a way that's practical and it's safe? And I mean, frankly, we don't know the answer yet. We don't know if you can do it.
Each of the 12 teams that make up the West Coast League are small businesses. The pandemic canceling their season takes a toll on the business side of baseball, but Nyer is confident everyone will be back in 2021 no matter what happens this summer.
As far as I know, and I have been told some things about this, every team that is not playing this summer, has announced they're not playing, is full steam ahead for next summer. Summer of 2021. I have not heard about any staff layoffs. If you were not confident about playing in 2021, you wouldn't retain your staffs at this point. You'd be doing furloughs and layoffs and all those things, starting to wind things down. That's not happening. I think all of our teams are willing, not only willing, but able to keep working toward 2021. So I believe we're all quite optimistic about having the full complement of teams back next season.
Apple Sox just celebrated their 20th season of summer collegiate baseball in Wenatchee. Several other teams in the West Coast League have a rich history of offering fans the national pastime for a few months each year. Nyer says the league will survive this pandemic, but the search for a new normal is still a blurry picture.
I've heard the whole range. We'll be back to normal in 2 months, everywhere. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. I've also heard people say life will never be the same again. You'll never leave your house again without a mask. We'll never have large sporting events again. Well, anything's possible, but I'm fairly sure that the reality is somewhere in the middle of it, between those extremes. The only real data point that we've got in our country is the flu epidemic in 1918 and 19. And things were terrible. Hundreds of thousands of people in the United States died. And within a year or two, everything did go back to normal. People were filling ballparks again like there was no tomorrow. So we certainly can forget. Humans are capable of doing.
You can watch my entire interview with Rob Nyer on our Wake Up Wenatchee Valley page. Just go to full episodes on the website at NCWLIFE.com. Well, Major League Baseball owners gave the go-ahead yesterday to make a proposal to the Players Union that could lead to the coronavirus-delayed season starting around the 4th of July weekend. MLB officials were slated to make a presentation to the union today. An agreement with the Players Association is needed, and talks are expected to be difficult. Each team would play about 82 regular season games against opponents in its own division, plus interleague matchups limited to their region, such as the AL West versus the NL West. Postseason play would be expanded from 10 clubs to 14 by doubling wild cards in each league to 4. The All-Star game that was slated for Dodger Stadium July 14th would be canceled. Sticking point could be over salaries. Teams will propose that players receive the percentage of their 2020 salaries based on a 50-50 split of revenues. The proposal would have teams beginning training camps in mid-June, with the shortened season starting up for the weekend around Independence Day. Games at first would be without fans, but then as the season progresses, they hope to open up the turnstiles. Well, in addition to a formal proposal to return to Major League Baseball, the NBA is asking its players if they want to play this year. The NBA Players Association sent out a text message this afternoon to its 450 players with a simple question: do you want to return to play this season, yes or no? NBA Commissioner Adam Silver told league representatives in a conference call on Friday that no decision needed to be made this month, and that 1 or 2 site setups for teams was among the possible scenarios, possibly in Orlando or Las Vegas. Well, high school teams in Washington trying to make the state championship tournament will now have to go through a committee first. The WIAA Executive Board approved a resolution last week to follow the method already utilized in football and use a seeding committee in 5 other sports. Beginning next year, the RPI, or Rating Percentage Index, will track teams throughout the season and rank them in volleyball, soccer, basketball, baseball, and softball. Committees would meet following district tournaments to seed teams for regional and state tournaments. RPI has been used in Washington for basketball since 2017 and football the past 2 seasons. It will be something new for soccer, volleyball, baseball, and softball. Again, those rankings are a guide, but the ultimate decision on seedings would be up to a committee made up of volunteers with knowledge of teams and leagues throughout the state. Our broadcast of great games of our past continues tonight here on the NCWLIFE channel. We go back to September of 2016. I wasn't actually even an official member of the staff of the NCWLIFE channel, but I got a call from Kelly Hart. He says, hey, can you do some volleyball for us? So I said, sure. I joined Leanne Branham for the broadcast. Be sure to watch it tonight at 7 o'clock. Forgive the hair and the nasty-looking beard. My wife was quite shocked when she saw that. Here you see the rest of our schedule with playoff hockey from 2018 Thursday. Cashmere and Cascade Girls Soccer on Friday. Prep baseball early Saturday between Wenatchee and Moses Lake, followed by the Apple Sox and Portland Pickles on Saturday evening. That's sports news. I'm Eric Granstrom. Grant, back to you.
Thank you, Eric. Now let's quickly check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up tomorrow morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
It's been quite some time since we checked in with Alan Walker. Alan is the Executive Director of the Community Action Council of North Central Washington. As you might imagine, the last couple of months have been extremely busy and probably somewhat stressful for those folks. We'll have a chance to catch up with Alan via Skype on tomorrow's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, plus your weather forecast, news, sports, and everything you need to start your day live and local right here. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Grant, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.
Technology. One man, one show. We'll bring you the newest innovations that may just change your life. This summer, Ray McNeil, and your Weekly Tech Update is your Weekly Tech Update with Ray McNeil.